When Steven Universe, the movie, premiered in September, fans wondered if that would be the end of the beloved series. It would have been a logical ending. Steven once again saves the world from a being who hates him because of what his mother did. Once again, he proved that peace and kindness can save the day. But it turned out to not be the end. On October the 4th, 2019, a trailer was announced for Steven Universe Future, a limited series designed to wrap up all loose ends. For all the fans who just want more of a show they love, this was an unconditional victory. But my feelings are more complicated. Steven Universe risks becoming a series that repeats itself again and again, and as a result loses all sense of tension and danger. There is a very fine line between being tender and being saccharine. I fear that if Steven Universe overextends itself, it could find itself on the wrong side of that line. So I'm going to take a different tack with this video. I'm going to frame it as a debate with myself. It will be pessimist me versus optimist me. We will be analyzing the question of, do we really need Steven Universe Future? Pessimist me gets the first statement. I want to make one thing clear. I am a fan of Steven Universe. I have been a fan of Steven Universe since its third season, which I regard as its best. The show drew me in because it was like nothing else I had ever seen. Though it was exciting and mysterious, it was also meditative and surprisingly mature. It was progressive and transgressive without trying too hard. Above all, it presented me a world I wanted to get lost in. The atmosphere was relaxed without feeling languid. Though it had a larger-scale fantastical story, it was not afraid to verge more toward realism. The combination of fantasy elements with more intimate emotional stakes made the series work as well as it did. For example, the idea of two characters fusing into one more powerful character is one anime has used extensively, but Steven Universe disconnects it from the context of battle. In fact, the idea of characters fusing for strength alone is criticized on several occasions, such as when multiple rubies fuse into one bigger, stronger ruby, or when Jasper wants to fuse with Lapis just to make the two of them stronger. The idea of fusion as a metaphor for a relationship had been present on many of these earlier shows, but Steven Universe innovated in that it brought that idea right to the forefront. There was an episode in which Greg, Steven's dad, and a human being, attempts to fuse with Rose. There is another episode in which Steven accidentally fuses with his friend Connie. In both episodes, this is not a subplot. It is not a story inside of a story. It's not a detour we spend a fun little bit of time in before moving on to the big action climax. Rather, it is the point. We're given time to explore it and examine the aftermath. That is the kind of show Steven Universe is, especially in those first 4 seasons. So, curious, I wanted to see where Rebecca Sugar, the show's creator, went with it. But with every answer her and her team provided, I became just a little less interested. And that's not just because of the Season 5 ending, though that was a little too neat for my liking. And it is not just because of the Pink Diamond twist, though I will spend a little time analyzing why I'm not such a big fan of that twist. Number 1, it undermined Pearl's asserting herself as an independent figure. Her character development matters less. Number 2, it undermines the idea of Rose Quartz as this morally complicated figure. Now, I can already hear you arguing with me on this second point, saying that it instead intensifies these complexities. And to be sure, the show, to its credit, does demonstrate how Rose's actions hurt those closest to her, from Garnet and Amethyst to Spinel in the Steven Universe movie. But these are all resolved. There's no lingering pain. It's too neat. Rebecca Sugar has described Steven Universe Season 5 as a murder mystery centering on the question of who killed Pink Diamond, or who shattered her in the show's parlance. And the answer is, no one. She shattered herself. The suspected murderer, Rose, has her name cleared, and that feels a little too clean. Rose/Pink is not perfect, and the show never tries to present her as perfect. She could be immature and naive, and in her lack of perspective, she could hurt those closest to her. But the show still believes she is a good person, and it never wants to fundamentally examine that idea. It never wants to fundamentally examine the idea that anything could turn out less than alright in the end. Thus, the problem is less the pink diamond twist itself than in what it represents. It's this pattern. Lapis was mistreated by the crystal gems? No problem, we can fix that. Peridot hates the crystal gems? No problem, we can change your mind. The diamonds are authoritarian dictators? No problem, we can get them to be nice. Pink Diamond turned against Bismuth because Bismuth wanted the kind of violent, hierarchy-overthrowing revolution that Rose would not support, in part because Rose herself was a diamond. Don't worry, we can fix that. The world of Steven Universe is a world where there is no space between optimistic ideals and reality. Optimist me, you look antsy. Do you want to give a counterargument? Not entirely. You make some interesting points, but isn't that why we should be celebrating Steven Universe future? Years have passed. Steven is more mature now. The show might be able to pay more attention to a lot of the moral complexities it kind of ignored in the back half of Season 5. We might see one of the Diamonds backslide. Is it far-fetched to think that one of them misses ruling the universe? Are we really supposed to believe they built an enormous, oppressive space empire just because they were confused? Rebecca Sugar is too smart for that. Sure, the movie repeated a lot of the same beats the show proper had already covered, but that's because it had to be a movie you could watch without having prior knowledge of the series, and it had to transition the series into the epilogue. It had to deliver a message about Steven being willing to change, and sure, it did this a little awkwardly, but who cares? That's not a high price to pay if it sets up a mini-series that explores the challenges of growing older and having to leave some of that childish idealism behind, while struggling to remain true to the values you care about, values like compassion and understanding. I don't know about you, pessimist me, but I want to see the kind of person Steven grows into. The first 5 seasons of Steven Universe may have been aching and melancholy and wistful, but they were still filtered through the eyes of a child. In what ways does the ethos of the show change now that he is almost an adult? And in what ways does it stay the same? Both are really interesting questions. These aren't easy questions to contemplate, but if the show analyzes them with its trademark blend of empathy and intrigue, the result will be as deft an exploration of late adolescence as the series proper is an exploration of early adolescence. I want to see scenes where characters just sit down and talk about what they're going through. I want to see them contemplate their place in the world. These are the kind of scenes that the last season of Steven Universe kind of was missing, to be honest. It had some, but they weren't as important as the overall plot about defeating the Diamonds. What temptations does Steven face now that he's becoming an adult? Does he want to strike out on his own? Does he overestimate his powers? Is there still injustice in this reformed post-Season 5 world? If so, is it a holdover from the old regime, or is it an inadvertent consequence from the well-meaning changes Steven made? How does he deal with this injustice? Does he risk backtracking on the changes he's made since the start of the series? Or does he prove to be unwilling to undergo future changes? He said he's willing to change, but how does he react when he's put to the test? See, pessimist me, there are a lot of interesting ways they could take this. Well, let's see about that. I mean, I will not deny what you said. If done right, Steven Universe Future could be a profound, fascinating miniseries that expands upon the themes of the original show instead of merely repeating them. For those of us who loved the show, then fell into a routine where we still watched it and still liked it, but didn't find ourselves as attached to it as we once did, this could be a welcome wake-up call. I want this series to be great, I really do. I just sadly don't see any signs that the show is moving in that direction. In Avatar: The Last Airbender and Gravity Falls, just to name 2 great animated shows, the tension steadily increases as the narrative progresses. Strong thematic ideas like Mabel not wanting to let go of the innocence of childhood, or Zuko having to confront the conflicted emotions within himself, rise to the forefront. But Steven Universe isn't really like that. Sure, the scale of the challenges they face increases, but by Season 5, they've already proved themselves so consistently adept at overcoming the challenges they face that there is not really a significant risk that they will not be able to overcome the challenges they face in the future. There's not really any reason to believe they will not be alright. Greg and Pearl have a conflict as they were both in love with Rose, but that is resolved by Season 3. Pearl's inability to let go of Rose is also resolved around the same time. Amethyst overcomes her feelings of inferiority. Lapis and Peridot adjust reasonably well to living on Earth. Connie's conflict with her mother ends. Ruby and Sapphire unfuse several times, but they always manage to fuse back in relatively short order. I'm not saying that characters should still be facing their Season 1 challenges in the final season, but if you're going to remove the old challenges plaguing these characters, they should be replaced by new challenges. And by challenges, I don't mean obstacles, I don't mean mere difficulties, I mean things that fundamentally shake a character's perception of themselves in a real and nuanced and thematically interesting way. What I am most objecting to is how Steven Universe has shifted from a show primarily fueled by internal conflict to a show primarily fueled by external conflict. The Crystal Gems family just keeps growing and growing, and there is little long-standing conflict within that family. With the Diamonds defeated, I fear that Steven Universe future will be even less full of conflict than the 5th and final season of the original show. I can't help but think of critic Emily Vanderwerf's exemplary article on what she calls the cute com, which she defines as a show characterized by the notion that it creates an alternate place you might want to visit, full of people you would love to hang out with. It's not a place devoid of tension, since conflict is what makes stories go, but it is a place where tension rarely arises between the main characters, and if it does, it will be quickly smoothed over. Optimist me, you might push back against my calling Steven Universe a cute com, as cute com is a portmanteau of cute and sitcom, and Steven Universe is obviously not a sitcom, although it is quite a cute show. But I'm not calling it a cute com necessarily. That's an important point I want to make. I'm just saying that the same characteristics that make Emily Vanderwerf hesitant to the cute com are what make me resist the allure of Steven Universe as it has become. I have always been less interested in stories about characters trying to save the world, and more interested in stories about characters trying to save themselves. The characters in Steven Universe, as per the end of Season 5, appear happy and triumphant, and I don't see that seriously fundamentally changing. So I'm uncertain about what Steven Universe future will do. But, you know, what say you, optimist me? Well, Rebecca Sugar has impressed me before, and I am confident she will impress me again. But I can't be sure. Neither of us can. If Steven Universe Future is just a repeat of earlier seasons, only with less conflict and intensity, then yeah, it will be kind of unnecessary. It will just be fan service. But I believe it will cause the Crystal Gems to see blind spots they might have neglected in the past. It will challenge them to honestly grapple with their mistakes, not ignore or excuse them. It will challenge them to become the best and most robust versions of themselves. Just because you conquer your demons doesn't mean they stay conquered, and it doesn't mean new demons won't plague you. If Steven Universe Future understands this, it will be excellent, I'm sure of that. So, thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can, and you want to see more content like this. If you're new here, consider checking out my other videos. There are analyses on everything from video games to Avatar: The Last Airbender, and much, much more. By the way, watch Avatar if you haven't already. It is a fantastic show. And tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming in about a week or so. And yes, I will have the Napoleon hat back, if you were wondering. So thank you all again. Adios, comrades.